Hey everybody, Professor Snart here. Just a really quick check-in since it's been a while since I've said hello, at least in video format. So here we are in our course as usual. Everybody had a fun Sunday snow day almost. It's the 16th, Tuesday when I'm recording this, and the sun's out and it looks like most of the snow is gone, so kind of a weird snow in spring little blip, but we seem to be back to normal weather. Hopefully it stays around for a little longer this time. So everything seems to be going really good in our course. Hopefully you're feeling like navigation is fairly easy. You're used to how the course is set up. Due dates you don't really think about in terms of like how they work anymore. Obviously you keep your eye on when they are, but not the whole setup and structure. And if we think about like where we started the course, some of my earliest goals that weren't really content goals per se, they were like the navigation becomes second nature to you, so you're not really struggling with the technology or where to click to find out what, like what's required of you, how do you do it, how do you complete an assignment, etc., when it's due. Hopefully that sort of faded into the background, so you don't really even think about it as much anymore. In fact, if I'm mentioning it now as like just getting oriented in the course and course navigation, and you realize like, oh, I haven't even paid attention to that, exactly, that's actually a good thing. It's faded into that background. And then the other thing that I had laid out as a sort of personal teaching objective was to make it so our course felt like a a class that you're part of with a bunch of other people, and not just interacting with either nobody, which is the worst case scenario, or just kind of with me or with some really static content in the class. So hopefully you're feeling that sense of like class community and cohesion, and you are excited to share your work with the people in the class. You're excited to see what other people have done and kind of share ideas and perspectives. So that's really important to me. And again, hopefully it's something that you feel like is actually happening in our class here. I don't think that class dynamic is like unique to honors, but I certainly think it is sometimes more important or even easier in some ways to foster in honors. Again, there's lots of moving parts and variables, but sometimes just because people, they want to be more plugged in, or they're in classes with peers who are more academically minded and focused. Not only academically minded and focused, we don't really want that, honestly. But again, just developing that sense of community, being with people who are kind of a like mind, even if you're not all English majors, or you don't all, foresee yourself doing literary studies beyond even this class, for example. You should, just as a FYI, but so even though you're not all linked by content or career or major area, you still feel like there's a sort of cohesion to the group based on the way that we're interacting, not necessarily even like what we're studying per se. Okay, so quick look at our due dates then. It's the 16th when I'm recording this, so we've just finished up our to be or not to be unit. Almost one of the most conventional that we do, really, where we just look at a bunch of different versions. Think of the different film versions as like texts that we're looking at, but we have all of the stuff that goes beyond just the text on the page, right, with camera work and music, lighting, costuming, blocking, or like where people move on the stage or where the Hamlet figure moves. And I'm just going to jump into that unit. What I tried to do is collate or collect not just a lot of examples, even though there are a lot, but a lot of really different examples. So we see this really kind of internal interior one. Lots of people noticed that the way that it's filmed, with him literally looking out on the sea, contemplating like just one step forward and he's off to his death, right? So death or suicide to be more specific, is like really prominent in this one. The Mel Gibson I like, honestly, because it happens in the family catacomb or crypt or tomb where his ancestors are buried. So it's not even like so much his immediate death, like it might be in this one that he's thinking about, but just the concept as a whole. And one of the things that's really important to notice, again, like I said, one of the most famous kind of soliloquies or monologues we've got, but so rarely understood correctly. And I don't mean that people don't get it because it's like Shakespeare language. I mean that people get it. They get the language. They get what he's saying, but they misunderstand it, right? So to take up arms against a sea of struggles isn't to fight the good fight. It's to kill yourself, right? So you don't have to live those difficulties every day. And the thing that keeps him from doing that isn't some great courage or this like positive motivation that he gets. It's that he's too flippin' scared about what might come after life, like the undiscovered country, what dreams may come, all of those phrases that we've actually seen like used in cultural references. He's just scared. He doesn't know, which is really what the whole play is about fundamentally. Who are we as people? Are we acting all the time? Are we acting naturally, which is a weird contradiction? What's our authentic self? And how do we take action in a world where you can't always know everything? You don't have perfect information. So Hamlet is one of the first characters in the Western literary tradition who is like an in-action hero, or at least he's the primary focus of the play. And he really doesn't do anything in the play because he's too scared or too unsure of himself, which is what makes him seem like, even for all of the old Shakespearean stuff, he seems like a very modern kind of person. Not to get too far into it, but like the only action that he takes in the play ends up in the mistaken death of Polonius, one of the other characters. So it's like exactly what Hamlet was most scared of, not having perfect information, taking action, and like what's now happened? He lives it. So again, the whole play unfolds through his inaction, basically, until we get to the end, and spoiler alert, everybody dies. You already kind of knew that because it's a Shakespearean tragedy, and that's always what happens. The Klein one, this really interesting David Tennant one, lots of Doctor Who fans there, so it's pretty cool. This is a cool one to check out if you're interested in watching a full production because it's modernized. So there's lots of really modern sort of technology touches that add to that sense of us always being watched and always having to sort of perform a persona for people in the world. And then, like I'd said, my favorite one is this Kenneth Branagh one, even though I can never spell his name right. Partly because it's so different than all the other ones, which are so like close up and focus in his moody self. And you get a little bit of that, but honestly, it would take me a lot longer, and you'd really have to know the play writ large to get how like just sort of profoundly different this one is, where it's really not an internal monologue. He's talking both to himself in this mirror reflection, but we know from the way the scene is set up that it's like a one-way mirror, or yeah, I think that's the term for it, where behind the mirror, which he can't see, but it almost looks like he thinks that he knows maybe that someone is there. He, as the prince, would probably know that there's like a secret door there, and he just so happens to walk to that particular mirror. And he knows that the king, the new king, Claudius, and Polonius, who he would later mistakenly kill, are hiding back there to spy on him, to see what's up. And it's almost like he knows that now, and so delivers what is normally just this very internal, like, all about me as Hamlet monologue to the king and Polonius. And then he even taps the knife on the mirror. Oh my God, that just blows my mind every time I see it. I saw that in the theater a million years ago, and I think I stood up and like made a sound. It was very nerdy, but geez, I really love this one. But the great thing about this assignment is you love the one that you love. You can probably find interesting things to like or dislike in almost all of them. That's what makes it cool. Okay, I spent more time talking about that than I meant to, since we've already done it. So now we have the opportunity, almost following logically here, to do our own. So we have our new drama project here. You have the option of doing this as a group deal if you want to, but you certainly don't have to. So you're just doing your own to be or not to be. You have all kinds of choices to make then about, just like we saw in the versions, like how do you want to dress? How do you want to deliver those lines? Again, performing them as best you can, knowing that we're not Shakespearean actors, we're not going to memorize huge swaths of lines to deliver. Can you do lighting somehow? Do you, as a person, even have to be on screen or on stage? All of these choices to make that should really be, and this is what we're looking for, not just choices you make because, oh, you happen to be wearing a blue shirt, and oh, yeah, blue means sadness, so now I can connect those dots. You really want to be more intentional, like I'm wearing this because I chose to light it like this because I chose to do it inside because, or outside because, or mix things because, etc., etc., etc. And remember that, you know, we should pick that up from your filming, but we're not experts. We don't have a production studio behind us. We don't have years to do this. So you have the opportunity to like explain the choices that you've made as you build out your portfolio page. And that's really important. So you can make your best effort to make it happen in the actual filming of it. But of course you can sort of explain what you were going for if it didn't technology-wise work out or resource-wise work out exactly the way that you wanted it to. So this is a really fun project. It's a really like deep and kind of like emotional speech that Hamlet is giving here. It's like one of the most, if not the most famous in the whole literary tradition, so it's fun to be part of that. It's a little daunting, to be honest. You can imagine all of the other Hamlets, the professional actors. Even for those guys, it's like, wow, this is the real deal. I can't fake this one or fudge my way through it. So you're posting your work, and then again, it's really fun to see and reply to what other people have done. Keeping in mind that we're not offering like film reviews here. We are celebrating what people tried to do and what they were able to do given our fairly limited resources. So super fun. All right. That then takes us pretty deep into our due dates, and we really just have a final project. Lots of creative options here. I would recommend you taking a look into this now. Not that you have to decide right now, but it's good to have the options kind of churning in your mind, to let the possibilities kind of stew in there, and then a final reflection to just wrap things up. So we're getting there. Still a few units to do, a few weeks to go, but certainly the end is coming around the corner. It's been really awesome for me to be on this end of it, unit by unit, just seeing the incredible work that people are doing, working together, making choices that are unprompted by me, that are a little off the beaten path. I love to see that. That's really cool. I hope it reflects a sense of sort of like comfort level that people are feeling potentially to make some more creative and out-of-the-box type of choices. It's really awesome. My job is the best in the world. No lie. It's actually a thing. We tested it. We didn't test it. That's impossible. Okay. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll check in with everybody soon.